Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. This is your press conference reaction. Jose spoke a few hours ago prior to this Lecce game tomorrow. And we're gonna go through it today. I'm gonna give you a big translation of what he said. I'm gonna react to what he said. Because there were a few interesting things. As always, he spoke about injuries, he spoke about our opponents and how they play and their characteristics. But one of the most important things that he mentioned in this press conference was how the calendar is very complicated, and he's basically once again attacked the ownership and said that this team will go nowhere if the ownership doesn't speak. And look, you can love him, you can hate him. There are a lot of things about Mourinho's a massive person. You know, you can love him and you can hate him as a person. As a communicator, I absolutely love him, and it's what this team is gonna miss the most the day he leaves. Obviously, the way we play isn't amazing, but the sad reality is that he puts his face and he says the truth about this team, and as a master of a communication, he is saying the truth. So, again, we're going to get into this today, but there were comments from the journalists complaining about the calendar. And Jose went, well, you can complain as much as you want, but if I am the only one who speaks about these problems, then we're never going to make that step. And that's the truth. You know, that's the false and not false, the real reality of the world we live in. Our owners don't speak. He is left stranded, speaking, communicating to the mass media by himself. He is the one who has been left stranded to just be the mediator towards the fans, towards these problems. And that is not what Mourinho has been appointed to do. After Budapest, he was very specific. I want to stop being more than a manager. I just want to focus on the manager job. I don't want to be somebody who goes against the referees. I don't want to be somebody who goes against the way this club gets treated with unfair calendars and all of that. I don't want to be that. Because if I do too much of that, people will call me a crybaby. And that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to manage this team. And after Budapest, it was very clear. The ownership did nothing about this. And once again, we're seeing Mourinho attacking the ownership, because deep down he's foreshadowing an attack to the ownership. This is not good enough. You don't speak. You can't expect things to change. Anyways, let's go. We'll get onto that point. It's the last point. But yeah, if you're watching this, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you don't speak Italian, this is the perfect place to be when Jose says something. So if this live stream was useful to you, if you learned something that you did not know when you listened to him speaking in Italian, then hit that like and subscribe. The first question is about injuries. What are the conditions of Dybala and Renato Sanchez? And Jose says Renato and Palo are not in optimal conditions, but according to the doctors and trainers, there are no risks. This is what we needed to hear from two of the most key players in our team. They are in the team tomorrow, and they can give us a hand. Everyone else who is outside stays outside. So again, he's effectively saying that Renato and Palo are back, even though not 100% fit. The doctors and the training staff at Trigoria have said that they are not in a risky position. Now, with that being said, if that is effectively what the doctors and the trainers said, they're not at risk. They can get minutes tomorrow. If one of the two gets injured tomorrow, you present yourself the day after at Trigoria and you sack all of these trainers. That's a deal. That's a pinky promise. They've said this. If they get injured somehow tomorrow, sack them all. But yeah, they will be on the list. They will be in the list tomorrow, and they can give us a hand. I don't think Renato will start. Let's be honest. I think Renato followed a strategic rehab. I don't think it places him in a position to start from the very first minute tomorrow. Dybala will start and won't finish the game. I think Renato won't start but will finish the game. I think they're interchangeable. Very injury prone players. That's another sad reality of this team. We have to keep we have to study the way they play. We have to study and slowly and manually increase the amount of times they play. We can't just launch them back in a football game because that is where the risks come. But yeah, they're not 100% fit, but they can impact tomorrow's game because they are not at risk, apparently. So that's definitely good. I mean, you look at the calendar, and as it was said yesterday, Lecce is kind of the last hope to get 3 points, to get three points against small teams. After Lecce, we've got hell. We have got hell. From Monday to after Christmas, we have got hell. We literally have an absolutely absurd calendar. Let's not even think about it. We will have to go game by game. And we definitely need these players, even though they get injured every time, every 20 minutes they play. But hopefully we can keep them going. So then he went on to speak about Lecce, and the question was, what are the pitfalls in tomorrow's match? So what's the thing Roma need to be careful about? What are Lecce's biggest characteristics? What are their biggest threats? And how can we keep away from these threats? Lecce is a good team. They are a counter-attacking team. They are very strong at that. They have very pacey players on the flanks, both on the right and on the left. They have solutions to change during the match, and they do so often. They have a good coach who knows also how to organize the team from the point of a view of construction and view of organization. So well-organized team, started the league well, kind of crumbled back down. They're counter-attacking side. What does this mean? This means that Lecce are going to play a game tomorrow which is the exact same game that we wanted to play in Milan against Inter. Counter-attack. Park the bus and counter-attack. They've got fast players. Almqvist, Kristovic and Strefizza are fast players. We're going to be at home tomorrow. We're going to dominate the play. We're going to attack more than them. But we can't be unbalanced because that is where Lecce get the ball. They give it to the flanks. They're very fast and they can score goals. We obviously are going to attack more and they are going to park the bus. Well, again, we need Dybala for creativity to find those gaps. But we can't the entire team can't go up because otherwise, you look at that, what was it? Second goal we conceded against Verona. I still have nightmares about that game and that goal specifically. And that's exactly how Lecce will want to play tomorrow. That second goal we conceded against Verona definitely got used to study this game because that is how they're going to intend to play this game. That is how Lecce are going to try and pull this game apart. Park the bus and counter-attack. So I'm expecting a balanced side. We don't have Paredes tomorrow, so we will definitely see less constructions from the back because Paredes normally likes to play with the ball. Bove and Cristante does, but Bove doesn't. Bove is more of a tenacious beast. So yeah, we'll see. I think it'll be a classic attacking Roma game. Again, one of those games which could end 1-0, which could end 2-0, which could end 3-0 maybe. So yeah, that's that. And then right, this is this next question is very interesting. This is probably the most interesting response Mourinho gave in this entire press conference. Now, the question is very simple, but the answer he gave has a million different interpretations. The question is, what is Roma missing to be able to play and try to steal something from big games? And I think it's a great question. I think it's a really good question. It also relates well because coming from that Inter game, it's a question which I also ask myself. So what is Roma missing to be able to play big games and big matches in a good way? How much distance is there with the great teams in the Serie A? So effectively, in the long term, one needs to improve for Roma to compete with the likes of Milan, Juventus, Inter, and Napoli. That's the question. Now listen to this answer very carefully. Very carefully. And if you were here 2 days ago and we did that long live stream speaking about Roma and, futuristic plans and how this planning of this season has been terribly, have that in your mind. Jose says, I don't want to enter into criticism or into the planning of the future by saying what is missing and what is not missing. We were missing five starters. And again, he definitely uses the fact that we've got an injury-prone team and the other teams don't, and that doesn't help. But look at what he says here. I don't want to enter into criticism or into the planning of the future. And this is exactly where we left that long live stream of 48 hours ago. When you start a season with your manager running out of contract at the end of the season, this is what happens. This is what happens. You have a manager who says, I don't want to enter into the planning of the future. And that's logical. That is logical. We have made a tremendous mistake when it comes to planning this season and leaving both Pinto and Mourinho running out of contracts at the end of this season. This is the result. Starting seasons with your role model, Mourinho, your manager, knowing that he will end at the end of the season, leaves you this. He leaves you press conferences where he goes, I don't want to think about the future projects or the future planning. And maybe he didn't intend to use this sentence in such a way, but ultimately the reality is, why would he care if he knows he'll be leaving and if he knows that the ownership isn't intending to propose him a new contract? And I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming him. We got this so wrong. And this is the base of this not good enough start to the season. It's the base of these problems. Again, he's a professional. Jose loves this team. Jose wants to fight for this team. He wants to win that Europa League. But it is normal for a human being to lack some motivation, which he wouldn't have lacked if he knew that he was going to stay. That's just common sense. So again, listen to this again. I don't want to get into the criticisms or the future planning of this team. And that's it. I'm going to leave it here because it's not good enough. The planning has been terrible. But I've already mentioned that quite a few times, so I'm not going to say that again. And then again, the last question of this press conference, I haven't really translated, but I'm going to try and give you my interpretation of it. So, a journalist popped up saying, what have you to say about this tough calendar? What have you to say about this calendar that, from now until January, we don't have one easy game in the league, and that all the easy games were placed at the start, and now we all have hard games. We're going to play every, 3 days? And, the journalist was going, isn't this a problem? And Mourinho went, again, completely right, because he puts his face and he says the truth. I have had enough of speaking about how this team gets mistreated. It happened now. And you just, gave me an example with mistreated about the calendar, because this calendar isn't fair. It happened after that annihilation from Anthony Taylor after Budapest. It happened last season after that Monza game and that referee episode. Mourinho is tired. He doesn't want to speak on the behalf of the ownership. He's not here to solve those interior problems. The referee association, the Italian Football Association don't like Mourinho, and he's understood that. But he should not be the one who speaks about these things. As I said at the start, he made it very clear after Budapest that he needed a mediator next to him. The Fredkins didn't back him on that, so this is where we are. Manager saying the truth, a manager saying the bold truth of things, and an ownership behind him, from Thiago Pinto to Linus Soluku to Dan Fredkin to Ryan Fredkin, who don't speak. And he's left stranded, and he's left fighting this war against the institutions by himself. And he's tired of this. And that's why, again, he's bothered about this calendar thing. But if the ownership would have been bothered too, they would have already spoken by now. And that's the thing. That's the thing. That's definitely the thing. It's this incredible sense of communication which this man has brought to this team. This press conference has been an attack towards the ownership. This press conference has been, yes, a way to speak about Lecce, yes, a way to speak about the injuries and to prepare for tomorrow's game. But this is ultimately an attack towards an ownership who isn't backing him in terms of, credibility, in terms of wanting the desired results, showing how this team gets mistreated and this club gets mistreated. And it's also attacking the ownership because, in my opinion, he wants a new contract, but he hasn't been proposed one. And that's it. Right. There are a lot of different interpretations to this press conference. Most important thing now is to get 3 points. Because, as I said, it's the last easy game. We can call it easy. We've got I don't even want to look at our calendar after this game. Slavia Prague, Derby. Then we've got the international break, and then we've got Udinese, Bologna, Atalanta, Juventus, Napoli all together. So yeah, I'm gonna catch you soon. If you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, click it down below if you enjoyed it, if you agree with me. Also, if you disagree with me, let me know your various interpretations of this press conference down below. I hope you enjoyed it, and ultimately, I hope it was very useful if you don't speak Italian. Yeah, as I said, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Forza Roma sempre. Simo out.